Talking Blues with Sixx Pack with Derek Procell of Derek Procell Music. Derek's new album Hello Mojo was still charting and #1 soul blues for 7 weeks.
You mean this little album right behind me over here?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Yeah, Hello Mojo really is my second solo record. The previous one was called Why I Choose to Sing the Blues, that was around 2016, 2017. I mean, it's been almost 6 years between. That was the first one. It was done over a period of years. I was writing a lot of songs with this fellow, Terry Abramson, Grammy Award winner. Lyricist, and he and I knew each other from the wonderful world of Chicago jingles, and he was this sort of independent freelance writer who I would run into on occasion, and we shared a lot of the same interests, and I think we came up through a lot of the same
in the same business. I mean, doing voiceovers and all that. Was that?
Oh yeah.
That's how you met him? Was it in those same channels, doing the same work?
That was where we met, but he only knew me as a singer. I don't think he knew me as a songwriter back then, because he was working with a lot of really good Chicago music producers, and songwriters. He's got a really incredible checkered past. He worked with Muddy Waters. He worked with George Thorogood. He was producing some spots for Levi's back in the day, and worked with like the Chambers Brothers and John Lee Hooker, and so
he's run the gamut. That's quite a spread there. That's awesome.
He had a lot of cred as a guy in that end of things, but like I said, we liked each other a lot, just because I think we both were cut from the same cloth, so to speak. And one day he calls me out of the blue. The jingle thing had already kind of died out a little bit. I wasn't doing that much work. I was doing voiceover work at the time. I was writing a lot of songs that a lot of which ended up in music libraries for stuff that was being pitched for licensing for movies and television shows. I've had a lot of success that way. I've had songs on a number of pretty popular shows.
Well, I can name them. I was Criminal Minds, True Blood, This Is Us, The Americans, King of the Hill, one of my favorites.
Yeah. My Name Is Earl, man.
My Name Is Earl. There's another
Austin
good one.
Legal. And so Terry calls me up out of the blue and says, "Hey man, I got these lyrics. I understand you play some piano and write some songs. You want to give it a go?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay, what the hell?" He sends me the lyrics, and our very first song, which was called "I Will Be Your Leather." And I know it sounds a little risque.
It does.
S&M. I mean, it's got a little bit of a biker theme to it, but it was a real song of dedication and I will be there for you kind of thing, right? I will be your leather. I'll protect you. I will take care of you. And the very first thing we write, we got an offer from Allstate to license the song for some motorcycle commercials. Their pockets didn't quite go deep enough, so we turned it down. But you know what? It said to us that we're a good combo. That what we're doing works.
Yeah.
And so we just kept writing and trying to pitch some songs to a lot of the blues luminaries here in Chicago. Like I said, Terry had some cred with them. Me, not so much, but they got to know who I was pretty soon, because on most of the demos, I'm the guy singing them, right? I'm doing them here in my little, I'm in my little home studio right now, just a one-room demo studio. And a lot of the stuff I'm just doing myself, using like plugins on drums and MIDI bass, and I play keys and harmonica. And the only thing I don't really play well at all really is guitar, which kind of sucks, because a lot of times I'm hearing, as I'm writing the song, I'm hearing guitar parts, but I can't really play it. And
Oh, I see.
the good news is I happen to know like tons and tons of great guitar players. I mean, I'm in Chicago, for God's sakes, you
I
know.
know. You guys
know,
probably have your own directory just for
yeah,
musicians available.
yeah.
I mean,
So we were doing these demos, and you know, a lot. I mean, I started noticing that some of the reaction to these songs was, well, you know, I'm not sure if this song is for me, but damn, who is that singing that, man? This guy ought to put this, you know. You start hearing that enough, and then you go, huh, maybe there's something. I mean, you know, I really wasn't at this point in my career, my life, whatever. I wasn't really looking to become an artist, you know, again. Um, you know, I was digging the studio work, the production, the
yeah.
songwriting, and all that. And you know, I'd been out on stages all my life, you know, and at some point you kind of go, you
Well, and that
know,
kind of it's organic then. I mean, this is happening because it's meant to happen. You're not pushing it in that direction. You're just kind of
exactly,
riding the wave, right? It's
exactly. So I took a lot of the songs that we had demoed up, you know, and were pitching. You know, I fixed some of them up a little more, you know, added some more guitar, added some real drums on a few songs that needed some real drums, and put it out as Why I Choose to Sing the Blues. And that record got a lot of airplay. It got, you know, it won me some fans, and
and
it
that's
made me start.
2016, right? 2016 you
Yeah,
released it?
late. I think it came out in October, November, whatever. Just in time to be considered for a Blues Music Award. It did not get nominated, and you know, I know why. You know, nobody knew who I was. You know, I mean,
I mean,
let's
I want
face
to ask you that question. Why did you choose to sing the blues? I mean, what
it.
what
Well, you know, I'll tell you, it's interesting because I've played a lot of different kinds of music in my life. You know, I mean, I was in a band for a number of years called Arroyo, which in the Midwest people don't know shit about what that word even means. They look at it and go,
need to hear?
"Arrow, what's your band? Araro, Arrow, Arroyo, man." You know, if you're from the
Come
South,
on. Yeah.
everybody knows what an arroyo is. Well, it's funny because it was sort of the next phase of a band that was originally called Rio, which originally was called Diamond Rio, and then you know the country act
Yeah.
Diamond Rio. You know, it was like, well, okay, we got to change our name. So then they just shortened it to Rio. And then my guitar player and I joined Rio, and we became Arroyo. We went from a river to a dry riverbed.
Oh, that's pretty funny. But it worked for you. It was you got Arroyo did really well. That was a good
Arroyo
band.
did really well. We got, you know, we did some touring, and we got some recognition for, you know, it was a real, once again, man, it was a real jumble of musical styles all in one band. You know, so I played that. I came up playing rock, but at the center of everything
Oh, here you
was
go. I know what's coming. Oh yeah,
was
go
the
lay it on.
blues. Was the blues. You know, in the British invasion, the
Mhm.
acts. Of course, I was a Beatles fan, and you know, some of the. I'll admit right here on camera, I liked Herman's Hermits. You know, they had a couple of catchy tunes, but the guys that really spoke to me, that spoke to me right here, were Eric Burden and Steve
Oh yeah.
Winwood and John Mayall. You know, the
Oh yeah.
Yardbirds. You know, the guys who and
Mhm.
the Stones, of course, the
Yeah.
guys that
Blues rock. Yeah.
came up. They were doing what's this is really interesting. I'm growing up in Milwaukee. I'm 90 miles away from Chicago, and I'm learning about the blues from the Brits, you know, across the
Oh
Atlantic
yeah.
Ocean, who are learning about the blues from the guys who are 90 miles away from me in Chicago, like
Absolutely.
Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf, and you know, and of
Thank
course I didn't even
yeah,
know.
and thank goodness for those Brits over there because they pumped a lot of life back into the blues. It was great.
Absolutely, that's where I learned about these guys, and then I started, discovering the real guys, in Chicago, and you know, I mean, yeah, I love Sonny Boy Williamson, and I love Little Walter and all that. But really, the guy that I learned my style of harmonica playing from is Paul Butterfield.
Paul Butterfield.
Oh
right
yeah,
on. I love Paul Butterfield Blues Band.
yeah. I
Great,
mean,
great band.
you know, so like if you listen to how I'm playing the harp on Broken Promise off of Hello Mojo, you know.
Well, let's talk about that album. Let's talk about, because you had Zac Harmon just
Zac.
BMA Awards, and so tell me about that relationship and tell me how that became Hello Mojo. And by the way, was Hello Mojo just kind of an epiphany? It's like Hello Mojo, this is working. This is or was it something that, where'd that come from?
You know, that's funny. So I'm going to back up historically a little bit to give you just a tiny bit of backstory. So at the start of the pandemic in 2020, I get a call from a fellow named James Armstrong. I don't know if you know James. Great blues artist, you know, singing guitar player, right? And he's pretty much from the Chicago blues school of, you know, singing guitar players, right?
Yeah.
I get a call from this guy. I don't know him from Adam. He got my name from Billy Branch, who I'm guessing you know who that is, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, Billy played on my Why I Choose to Sing the Blues album, so he knew me. He recommended me as a singer for this song that James Armstrong was producing. The song, you know, was a turbulent political times, right? So he's producing this song called Rise Up. And the writer of the song happened to be Bob Trenchard, who was a bass player that played a lot with James, but also is the owner of Catfood Records. So I do this song, you know, and since we're all socially distant, I do the vocals here in my studio and, you know, just kind of send them the files. Well, that got me another gig with James Armstrong producing yet another Bob Trenchard song called Black Man's Justice. And this is right in the wake of George Floyd, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Once again, Bob Trenchard.
You have to be the luckiest guy in the world. How you just, these things, it's like one leads to another. It's amazing.
The universe conspires, man. It conspires. You know, it is. I pull on. I'm a guy who likes to pull on little threads, man, because you never know where they're gonna lead. I rarely say no to anything because, like I said, you never know what one thing's going to lead to another. So I do these two songs for Bob. He releases them as digital singles. He's never met me. And well, I think once he finally looked me up, I went, oh man, this is a blue-eyed soul monster, man. And he's got a lot of other songs and stuff. I mean, you know, this guy's more than just a singer. He's, you know, a good songwriter and blah, blah, blah. So forward like a year, almost a year ago, actually, in October of 2021, I get a phone call out of the blue from Bob Trenchard, and he's like, hey man, it's Bob Trenchard. You want to do an album on my label? I'm like, let me think about it. Okay.
Yeah, you bet.
I'm not going to say no. Once again, the universe conspires.
Yeah, and it's sure looking after you. I mean, that Hello Mojo, 7 weeks. So are we rolling into the 8th week now?
We dropped all the way from number 1 down to number 3. So we're sitting.
But I mean, come on, 8 weeks in the top 3. 7
we're still charting, man, for I think 12 weeks now since it came out.
Oh man, that is awesome. That is really great.
So Zac Harmon came into the picture. You know, Zac did 2 albums on Catfood, and his producer Jim Gaines produced Zac's last record, Long As I've Got My Guitar.
Well, that explains it.
Which won the BMA Soul Blues Album of the Year.
Soul Blue album. That's right where you're headed.
great album, right? And I didn't know Zac from Adam. I mean, I'd never met him, anything. And Jim says, why don't you produce this guy's record? and I get a call from Zac, you know, and well, first of all, he's like, I don't know this guy, you know, who the hell's Derek Procell? And then I think he listened to some of my stuff and went, okay,
I can do this.
this could be fun and interesting. He had some great ideas in terms of some of my songs, and you know, here's the deal. I mean, Bob Trenchard had nothing really to gain by putting my record out, because you know nobody buys records anymore. You know, it's all streaming and you know, and whatever the artist maybe can sell. You know, 'cause you ain't gonna get rich on, you know, $1 downloads, 99-cent downloads. You know, nobody's getting rich that way.
No.
But he believed in my songs. He believed in Zac as producer, and he believes in his house band, the Rays, that play on pretty much everything that comes out on Catfood Records. And they're a great bunch of players, man. I mean, it was such a joy, you know, because I'm used to working in my little one-room thing here, right? Going into a real studio again after all these years, and you know, playing with great players and great singers, and you know.
That groove, I mean, because the album has a real groove to it. I mean, I was noticing all the way through it. Just had and I don't know how to explain it, but it just felt really good moving. It was sophisticated, is a word I would use. It's not. It's a smart soul blues. I mean, it really, it's got some depth to your music, and I really enjoyed it a lot. And where does that come from? From having a potpourri of musical backgrounds, or does that come from Paul Butterfield? Where does that groove come from?
You know, I thank you for bringing that up, because you know I was a little bit nervous, to tell you the truth, when we started. You know, because Bob Trenchard came up to Chicago back in I think it was last November, to kind of, you know, preview some songs and you know, start really kind of getting our group of material together for the record. And you know, he rejected a few songs that I really kind of felt strongly about, that I thought, you know, would fit. Because here's what I knew: Bob has a reputation, and a good one for that matter, putting out soul / blues albums, like
Yes,
Johnny Rawls and Zac Harmon, and you know, so
he's got awards on his wall for sure.
Right, that's how they get promoted. That's how they get marketed. So he's got a slot, you know, that stuff needs to kind of fit in. And like you said, man, mine's a little deeper and a little wider than I think your regulation.
Absolutely,
you know,
that's yep.
And so I was a little nervous that might actually work against us, you know, in certain quarters, you know, because there are people, especially in the blues world, that seem to really like their stuff to really fit neatly into a thing, you know. You know, I mean, Terry's, you know, Terry and I contributed 4 songs to the record. Skin in the Game, Hello Mojo. Actually, Hello Mojo was the first thing I played for Bob. And Terry and I had written that, I don't know, a year before that even. And it was just, you know, I got these lyrics from him, and I sat down at the piano, and that came out literally all in one burst. And I liked, you know, that little sort of jazzy piano. I'm not a great jazz piano player by any stretch of the imagination, but I kind of, I just started playing these sort of Ramsey Lewis, you know, Eddie, you know, Les McCann kind of little pattern there, and it just felt right. And when Bob heard it, he goes, "Oh, there's our title tune, man, right there." I mean, he didn't have.
Oh, that's how it happened. Okay.
Right on. Yeah, there's our title. Well, because it's a great title. It's so inviting, you know. Hello, Mojo. Hey, nice to have you back. You know, Terry. Let's see, what else did I write with Terry? "Color of an Angel," which is our little soul ballad, and "Tall Glass of You," which interestingly has been not getting as much airplay as I thought. When we did that in the studio, everybody in the band was like, "Oh shit, man, there's your hit right there. There's your single. There's your hit." I mean, undeniably catchy, blah. But I think it might be the lyrics. You know, there's a lot of name dropping about, you know, different blues bands, and
So it's like an inside, so a little kind of an insider, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, a little insidey. You know, it's not a song about drinking at all. It's about this. You know, you're singing it about this woman, right? You know,
Yeah.
I'll have a tall glass of you, baby.
Absolutely.
You know,
I'll be your leather.
when I will be your leather. You know, it's funny because when we wrote that song, I actually had a female sing the demo of it, and I wanted to pitch it to Bonnie Raitt because I thought it'd be a great song
Oh,
for
wow,
her
yeah.
if she ever heard it. Because it, you know, she sobered up, quit drinking many years ago, and there's some lines in there that I thought that, you know, she would find
She
very
would
personal
agree
and
Yeah.
relatable. You know, and she
Sure.
likes a good
Her
clever
voice
lyric.
would fit, too. Her voice would work well.
Maybe yet, who knows? I mean, that would be a big thrill for me
I
because
love her.
I'm such
I'm
a
a big
huge fan.
Yeah, me too. And what a team you have too. My goodness.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, yeah, everybody concerned. Like I was just gonna say, man, I gotta give props to everybody. I mean, you know, the universe first of all, but you know, after that, man, I mean, you know, Bob Trenchard and Cat Food and Zac came in and did a great job. All the people that he brought in, you know, I mean, all that awesome percussion that's happening on that record, man.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
that's
saying.
when you
If
go
you haven't,
Jackson, man.
anybody listening, just take it from me. If anybody listening, we've been listening to it since breakfast. Anybody, I'm telling you, listen to it. There's depth. It's got soul. It's got groove. It's got the blues. It's got it all. It's a Hello Mojo. That's what it is.
Hello Mojo, and anybody that's
winner.
watching this and wants to you know, wants to be nice to the artist, you can get on my website, which is DerrickProcellMusic.com, and you know, the record is available for download and even, you know, old school physical copies, man. I will send you a signed CD, man.